about to meet 6 shockingly deformed human beings. Unless you once witnessed an old-time freak show, you probably have never seen people like these. But it has been our privilege to come to know them. Here, in their own words, are their true stories. Stories of falling in love, of raising families, of the search for friendship and meaningful work. Though the way they look may startle you, it is the dignity of their lives you will remember. In 1981, a major Hollywood studio made a film about a man who looked so horrific that his appearance in public caused riots. The film was called The Elephant Man. Robert Melvin, age 67, suffers from neurofibromatosis, sometimes called the elephant man's disease, a genetic condition which causes soft tumors to grow under his skin and in his bones. Only his face is affected, and his descendants are in no danger of inheriting his deformity. There is no known cure.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Go over there and sit in your place, Keely.
Robert lives with his wife in Lancaster, Missouri, where he spends much of his time with his daughter and 2 grandchildren.
Wasn't that great? Good. Okay, and then you give me the extras.
I had a wonderful mother, and she was pretty religious. And my dad was a wonderful father. We lived in a town in Iowa, and they wouldn't let me go to school. And in '49, I decided to go on, get into show business, and I booked myself in Coney Island, New York. After it closed on Labor Day, I went out with the regular carnival, and I played all the state fairs east of the Mississippi, in Texas, Oklahoma, North, South Dakota, and Nebraska.
He quickly became a feature attraction, drawing crowds numbering in the hundreds. Billed as the man with 2 faces, he suddenly found himself earning $1,000 a week.
I had heckling, you know. We always had somebody on the stage, but I didn't need any protection because I could handle it myself. You know, you get different types of people in, half drunk, you know, and marijuana. By the time I was on there 2 or 3 steps, I was higher than they was, you know, from smell. But I never had that much trouble.
How did your wife feel about it?
Well, I explained to her, you know, I told her, I said, I don't believe in divorce, and people may criticize us for marriage. I said, if you don't want to go on them basis, well, then it's time to say it now. And so she said, well, I don't care what they say. So we got married, and they said it wouldn't last a year, and 35 years, so it must have been a little bit of good to it.
I was raised on the carnival and the circus, where everyone was different. And all the little kids played together, and we all mingled and traveled together and lived together. And normal people were the oddity. I remember once when I was small, we was in a big city, and I always stood at the end of the stage when Dad was on when I was little. And he would come out and people would yell or, you know, kind of scream or something. I thought they were so weird. He's had a lot of good experiences. He's met a lot of good people. And at the time when he was young, you know, it was depression. So really he had a lot more opportunities than other people because he had a regular paycheck and he got to travel. So he did receive some benefits from being different.
You can't change your life, you know. After you've lived it, you can't change it. All you can do is appreciate what you've had and what you've got.
The Victorian era, with its stiff manners and secret vices, was the golden age of freak shows. In the major cities of Europe and the Americas, human grotesqueries drew huge box office in public displays and commanded extraordinary fees for private viewings. Although many were cruelly exploited, some managed to achieve wealth, fame, and high positions in society. John Merrick, the Elephant Man, was rescued from a freak show and introduced into London's best circles. Tom Thumb, billed as the smallest man in the universe, was entertained by the queens of England and Spain. Happy Jack Eckhart weighed 739 pounds and boasted of his 87-inch waistline. Prince Randian, featured as the living torso, was married and fathered 5 children. He moved around by wiggling his hips and shoulders, much like a snake. Maurice, the elastic-skinned man, worked for years with P.T. Barnum. The head of Lionel, the lion-faced man, was so covered with hair that not even a tiny patch of skin was visible. Grace Gilbert, like most bearded ladies, was married. Grace McDaniels, billed as the mule-faced woman, received numerous proposals before finally marrying. The original Siamese twins, Chang and Ang, were bound together at the breastbone. After making a fortune in the sideshow, they married 2 sisters and fathered 22 children, 12 by Ang and 10 by Chang. Their 2 families lived in separate houses. Chang and Ang would spend 3 days in one house and the next 3 days in the other. Ang died within hours of Chang. The Tochi brothers looked like a 2-headed boy. Each possessed a distinct set of lungs, a heart, and a usable pair of arms. But below the 6th rib, they were completely joined, with 1 abdomen, 1 set of sexual organs, and only 2 legs. Rosa and Josepha Blazek were joined at the pelvis and spine. Rosa gave birth to a son, and it is reported that both sisters could nurse the child. The lower spines and hips of the Hilton sisters were fused together, and they shared the same blood circulation. Both were very amorous and had many romances. While one was making love, the other learned to ignore her, often reading or taking a nap. Perhaps the strangest people of all were called 1 1/2s. Like Betty Lou Williams, they were normal people with incomplete parasitic bodies growing out of their own. Jean Libera, who was married with 4 children, called his vestigial twin Jacques. He was proud of Jacques' perfect nails on his fingers and toes, and of his rudimentary head, which was hidden inside Jean's body. Frank Lantini was advertised as the 3-legged wonder. According to publicity, he could kick a soccer ball with his 3rd leg. Myrtle Corbin, the 4-legged woman from Texas, had 2 vaginas. She allegedly bore 3 children out of 1 vagina and 2 out of the other. But the old sideshows are nearly gone. They have disappeared in part because people who once would have been attractions today insist on a better life. Sam Early, age 30, was raised by his mother to think of himself as normal.
Hey, that was great. You look just like a Mississippi River rat.
I've seen people cry, after they look at me. I just go on, I don't know how to really handle things like that. I just don't pay any attention to it.
I've never known him looking at anybody and saying, hey, I can't do that. Because he drives tractors, he drives cars, he learned to drive cars, he's rode on back of motorcycles. I don't think there's horses, he's rode horses, I don't think there's a thing the kid is not afraid of.
I want to try it, I'll try it. I'll try anything once.
When he was very little, he would lay on his stomach and he would reach for things. And I took a basketball and would roll it to him. And he got rolling the basketball to me, and the first thing I knew, he was on his hands reaching, to go to get the basketball. So he's been walking on his hands since he's been about a year old.
Evelyn is not Sam's natural mother. She adopted Sam after his natural mother, a severe diabetic, died in childbirth. Sam's condition was probably the result of his mother's diabetes, or the insulin she had to take for it.
Sam was a very special child. From the time I got him, he was 2 weeks old. He was so small I could lay him in my hand. You could put a handkerchief on him for a diaper. He was so little.
My legs were kind of like this, and real short. There was a web in between them. I couldn't straighten them out or anything, so I had them taken off when I was 12. I still walked on my hands with my legs, and my toes would drag the ground. And so after I got them taken off, they got around a lot better, around a lot better.
Ever since Sam was a child, he loved to take things apart. His father was a mechanic, and Sam wanted to be one too. Finally, after 4 years of vocational school, Sam realized his ambition.
When he went to school, he didn't ever go to a private school. He always went to public schools. He was the only handicapped child in the whole school system. He would never let nobody do nothing for him. He always done it himself. At school, he would always put a backpack on his back and carry his own books.
Well, at first, they sort of stayed away, and a lot of, my God, look at him and stuff like that, But after a while, as they got to know me, everything was just fine. They didn't look to me like I was handicapped, they just treated me like a normal person, and that's the way I treated them.
But there is a sadder side to Sam's story. His kidneys have always been a problem. When he was 12, a tube was run from his bladder to a bag at the side of his body.
He had one good kidney here about 2 years ago. And he was doing exercises, and he was lifting too much at one time and busted his good kidney wide open. So when they had to remove that, all he has left is just a very small piece left. So there's not very much hopes for Sam in the future. He doesn't have a future, really. So that's why he lives it one day at a time. Out of all my children, I would say Sam is the most happiest one I've got. Because he had always, no matter what you bought him for Christmas, he loved it. He never asked for nothing, and he cannot give enough. Sam is a child that don't like to take, but he loves to give. And I guess the biggest gift of all is Sam. To me, that's the biggest gift I guess my husband and I ever had.
Peter Risch, age 40, lives in the suburbs of Los Angeles, California. He is a film and television actor. Peter is also the smallest man in the world.
When they need somebody very tiny, they don't have much of a choice. I've played just about everything. I've played bad guys, I've played robots, I've played aliens, I've played kangaroos, I've played just about any kind of animal you can think of, which means that I am in complete costume, where you would not recognize me. It's interesting to be able to, spread yourself out and be able to play just about anything.
We're all stone, passing by that wicked man, all the lies, that multi-level scheme.
I encountered a lot of difficulties. Everybody says, well, they're lowering the phones. I don't care how much they lower the phones, it's still too high for me. Credit card 2792. Hello? You called? Okay, I'm on my way. Bye-bye.
Although Peter Risch is only 32 3/4 inches tall, he is 8 inches taller than the shortest man in history, Tom Thumb, who was just over 2 feet tall as an adult. Presently, the Guinness Book of Records lists a man from Portugal as the shortest living man. But later this year, Peter will face the Portuguese man in a measure-off, and the winner will be listed in the new edition. Peter is confident he will win. Although Peter was normal weight at birth, the doctors knew even then he would be a dwarf. His pituitary gland was incapable of producing a normal amount of growth hormone. By age 6, Peter reached the size he is today.
I started in show business back when I was in high school. I got interested in drums, and I had a custom-made set built for me down in Chicago. It was built to my scale. I was in a number of bands. My band I started out with and went for a number of years was called Pete Risch and the Chevrons. We played 6 and 7 nights a week for a number of years. I was single, no real bills except for my music, equipment and stuff like that. And just was a true party animal. I waited till I was 35 to get married to make sure I had all that out of me. And now I'm happy. I've done everything.
How did women react to you?
All different. Some thought I was just really cute and cuddly, and some thought that, they didn't think much about me. Just wasn't there, or, then others thought of me as a human being, like I'm just another man, shorter than everybody else, but, no different than anybody else, other than my height.
Did you ever have a dream about being average height? Did you ever dream of that?
Yes. Yeah, I used to have that dream a lot.
What dream was that?
I would dream that I would wake up in the morning and have absolutely nothing to wear because all my clothes were small and I had grown overnight. So I would always dream that I would grow. Someday I would wake up big, just like everybody else, and that I would have a problem because I'd have nothing to wear. But that's a good question, because I don't know how many other little people have ever dreamt it, but I used to dream it a lot. But hasn't happened yet.
There are places on Earth untouched by modern times. Religious beliefs and superstitions, customs and traditions cling stubbornly to a time long past. The people of this tiny farming community in southwest China have long viewed one of the villagers with mixed feelings. Chang almost always works alone, possibly because he is ashamed to be seen by others, possibly because others fear seeing him. As the only son in the family, he is responsible for the support of his mother and father. Superstition surrounds him. He is marked by deformity. At birth, his father considered killing him, but his mother prevented it. His arranged marriage collapsed when his bride-to-be saw him for the first time on their wedding night. One day, a medical team from Kunyan University Hospital comes to see Chang. Chang's mother nervously acknowledges the introduction of the renowned surgeons who have come to see her and talk about her son. She hails Chang to come and talk with the visitors. Shy as always, frightened, and ashamed to face the strangers, Chang approaches the surgeons. For the first time, they see his incredible condition. Chang has 2 heads. The doctors take Chang to the Kunyan University Hospital, a 6-day journey from Chang's village. They examine Chang and discover that Chang's other head was an undeveloped twin that had somehow become entangled with Chang's body. The second head, doctors believe, had been meant to be another person. The theory is confirmed by the existence of a slight hump on Chang's back, still another part of the undeveloped twin's body. Test of his sight, sense of taste, and hearing show expected impairment on the right side of his face. Perhaps the most startling discovery is the physical connection between the action of both heads. Medical teams suspect that Chang's twin is an intergrowth sharing in every respect Chang's autonomic nervous system. The laboratory tracking begins to define Chang's connection to his twin. A startling discovery is made in the course of testing. Chang's twin, in fact, has its own primitive brain. The unique set of problems posed by Chang's operation brings together some of the finest medical minds in China. Their objective is to separate and remove Chang's undeveloped twin. Perhaps the most delicate step is isolating the second brain from interaction with Chang. The most critical is the deep incision that will remove the unwanted twin. Several weeks later, the bandages are finally removed, and Chang sees himself for the first time without his twin head, as a normal human being. It has been almost 4 months since he left his village. There has been little news said of the operation or its success. When Chang finally returns, his mother sees him for the first time without his deformed head. It is a profound moment of joy for both mother and son.
I'm 5'8". I'm 42. I weigh about 605 pounds.
Her name is Lois Bernal. Below the knee, her legs are equal to a size 30 waist. Her own waist measures nearly 70 inches around. Lois was born with an endocrine disorder. Although social stereotypes tell us that fat people are jolly, You are about to witness the tragedy of this condition.
Let me help you here?
Yeah.
Ready?
Wait.
Okay.
I was just getting to the point where I couldn't walk around anymore. Hadn't been out of the house in almost a year and a half. My daughter, she brought me food. She helped me clean up. She helped me walk, and all I did was just take.
There's the chair right there.
I didn't see that was much of a life. The chair. I've tried those protein drinks, all protein, diet, liquid diets. I've tried the fruit diet, and just about anyone that comes along, tried not eating nothing at all, and that doesn't work at all. You really get desperate.
A lot of people ask me if she eats a lot, and I tell them no. They think that a person is overweight just because they eat too much, but then they really don't know what an overweight person goes through.
It doesn't make you feel good to have to ask somebody for every glass of water, every bite of food. It makes you feel less of a person when you can't even stand up long enough to take a shower. I can remember back when I was thin, how much more fun I had. I remember how much fun it was with my friends. We went to the malt shop, I was typical 60s teenager then, My mother was about 600 pounds also. I was the one that took care of her when, with her fat, her being obese and all. I took care of my mother. And I guess it's fallen to Lisa to take care of me.
Ready?
Both of them at once.
Oh, okay. Ready?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want the bed up or down?
Up a little bit more. I'm just hoping that neither one of my daughters let themselves get into the situation where they have to depend on someone to take care of them.
Sometimes I'm scared because I see her in the pain she's in, and then what she has to go through every day. So I watch my weight.
I've been pregnant about 12 times. I've had 6 miscarriages. I have 4 live children, 1 stillborn baby and 1 premature baby. When I got pregnant with Christina, I really didn't expect anything from her either, because I had lost so many children.
A lot of people told her, she was too overweight to have a baby.
I spent the whole last month of my pregnancy in the hospital because of high blood pressure.
She fooled everybody because she had Christina. She's 6 right now. It was like a miracle for her to have Chris. I feel that that's what's making her go on and on.
Obesity killed Lois's mother at age 50, but Lois wants to live to see her little girl grow up. This determination leads her to take a radical step.
I run the Center for Surgical Treatment of Obesity, and we've done at least about 30-something people who are above 500 pounds in weight. So I've seen them in different sizes and shapes. The only thing unique about her is that she was the first 600-pound lady I was going to subject to surgery. When we finally got a truck to bring her to the office, she barely came. They could not get in the office, so we brought the scale outside, and she weighed and got her back in the truck. The 9th of April, I took her to surgery, and I did a gastric stapling procedure on her. This surgical procedure is a very simple way of restricting the amount of food somebody can take by mouth.
They make a small pouch of your stomach that will hold food in place of being able to fill up the whole stomach of food. You can only very small amounts at a single time. Now, instead of eating anything and everything I want, I eat maybe 4 or 5 times a day, small meals, very small meals.
I'm looking at Lois losing up to about 200 pounds in the first year. And then I have a goal weight for her of about 250 pounds in about 2 years.
They say it's been real effective for losing weight. I'm hoping it works for me.
It's going to take a while for her to get better, but she's going to get better. I really know that because I'm going to be here with her for her to get better.
I want to be able to go out and go to shopping. I want to be able to go down to the park or even to a PTA meeting or anything like that. Christina's just in 1st grade. She's got a lot of years of school left. She's going to need me to go with her.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Disneyland, and welcome to the most spectacular show on earth, the Circus on Parade. Hold your breath, here he comes, feel the flash, feel the drums, the circus at Disneyland. Sailors fill the sky, back and turns passing by, the circus at Disneyland. See the stars on parade, it's a bright cavalcade. We're glad you could be on hand. Run the cares far away. Run away for the day. To the circus, fantastic circus, spectacular circus at Disneyland.
It's called progeria. That's what I have.
Progeria is a rare genetic disease that causes premature aging. Children with progeria age 5 to 7 years for every 1 year of natural life. Mickey, now 14 years old, has the body of a 70-year-old man. There is no cure.
We knew when we brought Mickey home from the hospital that something may be wrong because his skin was hard. And they thought what would happen was his skin would get like petrified wood. And then it was 4 years later that a doctor in Dallas pronounced it progeria.
See, for a long time we thought I was the only one that had it. So, you know, she told me that I was the only one in the world like that and everything. And she said I wouldn't grow.
They said he won't live, and there's nothing we can do for it. I asked him, how long have we got? They said you could have months, you could have years.
Everybody is going to die. Death comes to everybody. When it comes, it comes. There's no stopping it.
When Mickey was 2 years old, he had a baby sister born, and she lived 4 days, and the Lord took her on to live with him. And for many years after that, he would go to the grave once a week and put her candy, her bubble gum, on the head of her grave for the angel to get and take to Christy, which was the little girl's name. Mickey's told us many a time that that was where he wanted to be buried, right beside her.
Mickey's early childhood was a painful one. Ashamed about his physical appearance, he rarely went outside. But at age 11, something happened that changed his self-image. It all began when a Hollywood film company contacted him.
They called one day and said that they wanted me to play on the space movie and all this stuff. They didn't tell us what part they wanted me to be until they came over there. They said, how would you feel about playing an alien in a movie? And I said, I don't know, I have to think about it. So I thought about it a few days, then they came back over there and I told them that I would do it. And then they said, okay, and then about 6 months later, they called and said, come to Dallas. Before I made the movie and got really famous, a lot of people stared at me and stuff, you know. But now when I go out, they recognize me as Mickey Hayes and not as somebody that looks different, you know?
The film also featured Jack Elam, a well-known character actor. Mickey and Jack struck up an instant friendship, a friendship that touched Mickey like none other in his life.
They went out to eat together. They smoked cigars together. They played liar's poker. They were together all the time. That was one thing to me that made the movie come to life, because they did fall in love with each other. There was emotions to the movie.
Okay, I'm first.
Jack Elam says, you know, I've met a lot of people, but I've never met anybody that got next to me like Mickey.
Well, we'll have another game. You ain't gonna quit a winner, are you? That's my cigar. Hey. Hey. Wait a minute. That's my cigar you're taking there. Well, you come back anytime, little fella.
I never shall forget the day Jack left Dallas to go home, and he picked up Mickey in his arms and tears running down his cheeks, and he says, I'll see you again, little buddy. And when did Jack see him again? This morning. It's the first time they seen each other since they left Dallas after making the movie.
Surprised, weren't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I could have said something bad about you.
Well, you probably did.
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
It'd be the first time you didn't.
No.
What do you do for fun these days?
I invite girls to watch movies.
You watch movies?
Yeah, at my house.
With who?
Different people.
Oh, girls, you said?
Mm-hmm. All my friends are girls.
They are?
Mm-hmm. Even you.
That's why you guys used to be able to explain to me about girls, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I see. He'll tell you about girls because he saw one once. He's the kind of guy, he's done one picture, now he tells me about how to act.
That's right.
That's right. Old crow, huh?
Yeah, he always,
One goddamn picture.
He always had to curse on the camera, so we'd have to do it over.
Out you on your air where you belong. I really believe that you were damn good in that movie.
Okay, if I was so damn good in the movie, how come nobody else has called me to make another one?
Boy, you come up with those good questions, don't you? Well?
What have you been doing, telling them not to?
I've been telling him, I said, don't call the little shit, he'll give you nothing but trouble.
Well, that's what I thought.
That's the real reason.
I asked Jack, do you realize just how happy you made a little boy this morning? And yes, I think Jack realized just how happy he made Mickey.
I'll take you to dinner tomorrow night, right? Where do you want to go to dinner in town? Up in Santa Barbara.
What's the nicest place you got?
I see. I figured on that, too. No hamburger joint.
No, where do you want to go? McDonald's?
Never has that. Oh, we'll find a place. Find a place that lets you in, you know. You're pretty loud.